Welcome to another episode of Money You Should Ask. I'm your host, Bob Wheeler, and in this episode, we're going to explore, question, examine, converse, dig deep, expose, laugh, and cry about the money beliefs, money blocks, and life challenges of our next guest. Turn up the volume, listen, learn, and laugh.
Do you feel like you're going through the motions in life, but not really living it? Do you long for more love, pleasure, and joy in your life? The Institute of Core Energetics offers webinars, workshops, and training programs designed to take you on a deep inner transformational journey that will help you develop more meaningful relationships with the people around you and embody the life you long to live. If you want real, lasting, and significant changes in your life, come join us for one of our free virtual community events. To register for the Money Summit and learn more about us, visit www.coreenergetics.org.
Well, I am super excited today because I have with us Judith Gruber, who has many titles, but she's been studying the concept and implications of money in our lives for the past 35 years. She's a clinical and holistic psychotherapist, certified financial psychotherapist, social worker, certified core energetics practitioner, and certified exceptional marriage mentor. She developed and founded Money and Self-Empowerment Co. and facilitates webinars, groups, and classes throughout the U.S. and internationally. Her varied experience includes teaching at universities, corporations, addiction institutes, and holistic and therapeutic organizations. She's an education and training provider with the New York State Office of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Services and the National Association of Social Workers. Judith integrates her rich background of training and experiences in clinical and holistic social work, financial social work, core energetics, pathwork studies, exceptional marriage mentoring, banking, leadership, and spirituality in her work. She believes that the journey of the soul is a healing process that restores energy and consciousness to the individual, which promotes creativity, self-expression, and personal integrity. Her passion for finance and the human spirit led her to create the Abundance and Prosperity cards. It's a deck of 36 affirmations messages to help empower you create abundance and prosperity in every aspect of your life. She maintains a private practice in Connecticut and works with clients throughout the U.S. and internationally. When she's not working with clients or teaching, she loves spending time in nature, taking pictures, capturing moments in time, and having a passion for home design. And she and I will be co-facilitating the Money Summit for the Institute of Core Energetics at October 23rd through the 25th, which is going to be amazing. And so I'm super excited to have you here so we can talk a little bit about the summit and really talk about your beliefs, my beliefs around money and why we think this is important. Judith, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Bob. I'm really excited to be here. It's my first podcast.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
Well, so let me ask you this. Were you always good with money?
I really didn't know anything about money until I was in the banking industry. Mm-hmm. And money was just always given to me because that's how I was taught that money is love, which is an image. And when I was a banker, I would help large corporations create cash flow all over the country. And I really didn't understand my own relationship with money. Yeah. So I took that, and when I left banking, I wrote down every penny that I spent for 6 years so that I can look at my own patterns. I can see where I placed my values, where I didn't place my values. And it really got me into this whole thing with numbers and money and the human spirit. And it was like, it just feels like pleasure to me. It doesn't feel like work.
That's awesome. Now, did your parents talk to you about money when you were younger? Did they say, Judith, put money in the bank, or Judith, here's an allowance? Like, what was your experience around money as a kid?
I didn't. The only thing was that I felt like the bigger the present, the more I was loved.
Yeah.
I wasn't taught about the value of money, except that I created my early image about money, which was that money is a struggle. And the way that I saw that was that my father worked a lot, mm-hmm. So I felt like it was a struggle. I felt like you had to work hard. You even had to not like what you were doing.
Right. It had to be painful.
It had to be painful. And so at one point, after I was a banker, actually, I looked at I looked at how I created that. And I found that the bottom line was that if I created a way for money to be a struggle, then I felt closer to my father. And that was my attachment.
Yeah.
And that's part of the work that I will help people in the Money Summit understand, and with a very simple exercise. And so when I found out my image, I decided to work on my own stuff around that issue. And then I felt like it gave me a sense of freedom, and to know also that my father still loves me, or loved me. He's not living anymore, but that, he would still love me, even if I was successful. And then it changed things for me.
That's so awesome. So it sounds like there's hope for some of us that
Yes.
still have a belief around money, or still have some baggage, or still have a story, that there's a chance to come out with a different ending to our story around finance.
Absolutely. I think that the work that we do, if you take it one step at a time, because you can't go from A to Z, you have to go from A to B to C and integrate all that information and experience in order to make changes. If we don't feel it, we don't change it.
So I just have to tell you that is I use the exact same analogy when I talk about A to B to C, because I'm like, are we mental telepathy going on here? Because I think so many people want to get to Z, and the media and society, there's so much pressure in the culture to do the skipping, and that really, if you just get to A to Z anyway, you don't get the opportunity of all the experiences along the way. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's just more digestible when I just work to getting to B.
And I think because money and finance is such a challenge for people to talk about, because it really can be very intimidating, that people just either do it or they put it away. And when they sweep it under the rug, they avoid their relationship with money. They hurt themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to know that you can deal with this if you do one step at a time. And that's really the way to do it. It's like when you're a baby and you learn how to pick yourself up, and then you fall down. Well, the baby picks themselves up again and takes a step. Well, it's the same kind of thing. So we really need to give ourselves permission to do that.
Yeah, take it slow and be able to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. For you, did gender play a role in your money relationship?
Yes, absolutely.
Just checking. I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was growing up, I have two brothers. I also have a twin sister. And my brothers were looked at as the valuable ones. So they were allowed to go to college. We were not. And so everything was, what do the boys need? The girls will be taken care of by a man. And it's absolutely not true.
Right.
So, I went out and I was married to a man who I supported. I mean, it's like, really. We have to look at ourselves and find what we need. And so I went back to college. I paid for it, undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate. I learned about money and I learned about myself, and, it's like a sandbox to me. I like to play with it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Why should somebody really care about their relationship with money? A lot of people will say money is very non-emotional. 2 + 2 is 4. Why should I care? Why do I want to dig deep?
Well, I think it's important to deal with our relationship with money, because we have to use it in our daily lives. Our world, revolves around it in many ways. The economy, our investments, and actually our daily living, especially with COVID now, which is one thing I'm going to talk about at the Money Summit. And, we have to look at, we want to have good financial footing, and we want to find going back to financial basics, what do we need? And how do we make choices? Because truly, our relationship with money comes into other areas of our lives, whether we're eating, other addictions.
Yeah.
So it's not just about paying bills. It's about looking at how we treat ourselves and how we value ourselves. And we don't want to get confused between our net worth and our self-worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things you talked about is need. And a lot of people that I hear, a lot of my clients, will tell me that they need the newest iPhone and that they need to have premium cable and they need to get certain things. And I often talk about words and the power of them, because often we may want for things, we may long for things, but for me, it's important to get a separation of what do I truly need, like food, shelter, air, and then what are things that I want or that I think will make life better. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Absolutely. There's a Pathwork lecture called Real and False Needs. And you can look that up at pathwork.org, I think. So when we have real needs, we know what they are. When we want something, like, okay, I want a new kitchen floor, let's say. Right. Do I really need a kitchen floor?
Right.
No. So whether it's me or somebody else, we want to look at, what does that mean to you? Why do you want it so much? What is it going to give to you? What does it really give to you, a kitchen floor? When you think about it, right. Do you really need it? And so we really want to get down to the bottom line and help someone understand where the need is coming from, where the want is coming from.
Yeah.
And it's usually based on their family history and what's acceptable. You don't know where people's ideas about money comes from. It could come from family, peers, social media, television, religion. It can come from anywhere. So we're influenced by our past.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm like, I know for me, I grew up believing that my value was in my accomplishments. So that, I did this, or I got this degree. And I know, a lot of my friends, a lot of my clients, their parents wanted them to be a doctor. Their parents wanted them to be this. And I remember one of my clients said to me, my parents actually, they wanted me to be happy, right? Oh, what? I want you to be fulfilled. And so that's not the norm, I think, in this culture. I think, and I could be wrong. I mean, do you experience that in terms of people you work with, that we are our accomplishments and that our worth is sometimes figured out based on the dollars we have in our bank account?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's changing. Mm-hmm. And, it's not either or. One doesn't exclude the other. I think because of our histories, if we're doing and learning something for 10 or 20 years in our lives, we get these images stuck in our heads about what we should be doing, what we should look like, how much we should have. And when we decide that we want to be conscious about our relationship with money, things begin to change. So we look at how we value ourselves and who we are. I'm not my bank account.
Right.
I'm not the house that I live in. I am who I am. So, we want to begin identifying ourselves by who we are and the core of who we are and the love that we have and how we value ourselves, how we value our relationships with others, and what we do within our relationships. Because that's really the bottom line. If we don't have the money, we have ourselves.
Right. So let me ask you this. So once I get conscious of a money belief or a money emotion and I've worked through it, I never have to deal with it again, right? Wrong. It's like,
Wrong. Because truthfully, I don't know if, we can think that we've dealt with the whole thing, but we get triggered. And because the trigger really comes to us on a molecular level, on a cellular level, and it goes, and when we feel that, we need to address it, but it will never have, I shouldn't say will never, but it won't normally have the same impact it did as when we started working on our, relationship with money. And so we're always kind of re-looking at it.
Yeah.
I got back into that. It's like food, you go on a diet and then you think you did it all. And then, oh God, it's like an alcoholic,
right.
So we need to continue to always look at our relationship with money. I love looking at my relationship with money, even now. I mean, it's exciting to me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think, there is a misconception that if I realize that I get angry about something or something makes me very sad, that once I've addressed it, it's not there. Like I know for me, when I'm talking to the IRS, I get frustrated and I get a little annoyed when I'm calling them because I deal with them a lot as a CPA. So I find if I get one of my other staff members to talk with the IRS, things work out a whole lot better because
right.
I bring in an energy. So it doesn't mean that I get over it, but I'm aware that often is an obstacle for me. And so then I bring in the troops for support.
Yeah, you don't have the same attachment as somebody else talking to them because you have your history and
right.
the person working for you doesn't have the same relationship that you did with your parents, or your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I want to take it a step further, that when a person feels like, oh, they conquered their relationship with money, but when you help somebody in their relationship with money and they're starting to make change, that's where the journey is.
Yeah.
That's the journey to transformation.
Absolutely.
To help them address that piece, that one step that they didn't take before, and what that means to them and how they can integrate it and really start relating to themselves on a whole other level where they have more control over their money because they feel more control in their relationship with it.
So how can people, when they start to look at all of this and they start looking at patterns and things that they missed, how do they keep themselves from taking themselves out? Like the self-judgment, because I know some of my clients, myself included, love to be very judgmental on past decisions. And it seems like there needs to be some space and some curiosity to hold all of that rather than the judgment. How do you hold that?
So, that's a whole other thing, right? It's not just about money. It's about everything because the judgment, the critic, is there from very early in our years. And so once we tap into that, it'll come out as how you look, what you have. The judgment comes in everything. It's not just about money. So we do it in microscopic steps. And we really help the person go from the critic, from the negative place, to a positive place. And so there are different ways that we can do that. So they have to try on a new dialogue.
Yeah.
So we work with dialogues. And during the Money Summit, I will be working with dialogues in how we relate to money. And they'll actually be using a dollar bill or whatever money they have in their pockets or purses. And so, it's all in time how we feel with it. And we have to give ourselves a break. We're always learning something, right? We're always learning. So we need to be patient with ourselves and find that place in us where we can create some kind of word or anchor something in ourselves to remember that we're okay. Even nobody's perfect,
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What do you love to spend money on even when you know you shouldn't? Like
me?
Yeah, you personally. Yeah.
Furniture.
Furniture. Okay.
even like a mirror,
Okay.
I just redid my office bathroom, and I tried to do something with the mirror and put I forgot what it's called, so glass on it, but everything I used didn't work, and I couldn't get the glue off. And anyway, so I bought a new mirror, and I love it. So it looks great. But I also say, all right, so what is this about? Number one is a tax deduction.
Right.
Number two, it wasn't a very expensive mirror.
Yep.
So I'm not looking at a $500 mirror. I was looking at a $66 and 67 cents mirror.
Good.
and then I got $17 and change taken off because there was something on it. And so I used everything to my advantage.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I don't want to say this. I will say this. So I turned 70 last year, and I just bought myself a chair for almost $2,500.
Wow. Awesome.
This is like amazing. And I really went through a lot about it. It's going to come in December, and I'm going to sell my recliner chair, which is probably a year old, for like $100. It's still in great shape. But this is something that I love. It will last for 20 years or 30 years. And it's something that I'm giving to myself because I can. And so I looked at my finances, and, part of me felt like it was impulsive, but I really processed myself through it. And I talked to a friend about it. I just kind of breathed through it. And it took me a while to say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I didn't travel because of COVID. Right. I had this money, and I deserve it.
That's so awesome. Yeah. I love that, because I think people forget that when we have this relationship with money, we're allowed to have some pleasure, and we're allowed to reward ourselves, and we're allowed to actually receive the benefits of the hard work we've put in.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it kind of brings up an emotion in me, because I would normally never do that. You can buy a whole living room for $2,500.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'm still living with my living room from when I was in Brooklyn, in New York, and I love it. It's purple couch. And but this chair just feels really good. It's, as I'm getting older, it works in a way that is unlike the American recliners. And it's not so clumsy looking or big. And I value it, and I value myself. And now it's out to everyone.
That's awesome. I love that. I think that's so important. And I think as a facilitator and as a therapist, like, it's so important to be a role model in saying, I go through these as well. And I come out on it with a nice, beautiful couch that I've actually thought about consciously and intentionally. And I'm going to enjoy it for a whole long time. So that's so awesome. Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. What do you not like to spend money on?
Clothes so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will buy clothes, but I'm not a clothes horse. I have the same tops for like 15 years that I wear. I'll buy a top in like 8 colors, like this. Yeah. This is from Eddie Bauer, I think. And I've had it for 15 years, and I still love it. It's cotton. It feels comfortable. So yeah, I don't go crazy with clothes.
That's awesome. I was just thinking, as you said that, you have a twin. So are you identical in your financial beliefs?
No.
You're different people.
We are 2 individuals. We're very different, even though we're identical. We look similar, but our energy is very different. I went on a different path. And Awesome.
What do you want people to take away from the Money Summit? When people come in and they join us, and we're going to do a very experiential, a lot of information, but a lot of body. And just like you talked about, I always call it the money nerve, that little visceral, either excitement or that we feel molecularly. What do you want people to take away? Like, what are they going to get?
Okay, so the most important thing for anyone to take away from the weekend is that they have a more open relationship with money. Because once you turn the key to open the door, it's all yours. And you just have to choose what path you're going to take and find out what you need to look at, what your issues are with money, whether you're hoarding monies, whether you're a spender, whatever it is. So it's about saying, these are my money issues. I feel like I feel guilty when I spend money. So we look at that. Whatever it is that a person is willing to look at their relationship with money. They will also come out of the workshops, yours and mine, to have a better understanding about how they operate with money, what their beliefs are about money, what their fears are about money, and how they want to change it from negativity to positivity. And they will have tools at the end to use so that they can begin to transform their relationship with money, have a different dialogue with money. It's about having a different dialogue with themselves and their images about money.
That sounds so awesome. And as you were talking, there's one thing that I was wondering, do boundaries play a role in our money relationship?
Yes. So when we have, it depends whether the boundaries are coming from other people or the boundaries within ourselves. So when we think of boundaries, what don't we want to do? How do you define boundaries in relationship to money?
Yeah, it's so important. I think boundaries of being able to say, no, I don't have to give you the money that I have, but so that I can. I used to think, if I give you my money, then you'll still like me, or if I have money and I don't share it, then I'm greedy, or I'm not compassionate, or I'm not kind. And so, learning to be able to set a boundary and say, I'm really sorry for the situation you're in, and I can have empathy. And I'm going to hold a boundary that I don't have to have your experience to feel good about myself.
Right. When we got money from the federal government, I chose to send people money who I know who need it. And it's really what I wanted to do. And there were a couple of people I decided not to give money to because I just felt like that it wouldn't help them in their own relationship with money. So that's one boundary.
Yeah.
If we enable people giving money to people, and who depend on us, and if you're a parent and there's a child, who might be in his 30s or 40s, and you continue to support them, they don't really learn the lessons. Right. So having certain boundaries and not giving them the money will help them. They might need to fall on their face, or if they don't learn to take care of themselves, they won't have a relationship with money. And we want to support our friends, our children, our parents even. Yeah. I remember you once saying there are people who might come into a session and let's say we don't charge enough.
Right.
And we know that they have so much money, and then we start to resent them. Yeah. So we have countertransference with them. Right. Right. And absolutely. I know that happened to me once. And I realized that. So, because you never really know, even when you think somebody is totally honest, you don't really know.
You don't know.
You don't really know someone until you really know them, and maybe even not then.
Right.
So we want to be aware of our own feelings about money and, the boundaries we want to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is this a good idea or is this not a good idea?
Absolutely. And I think with that comes the willingness to have difficult conversations and be willing to stay and have those conversations. And I think a lot of people want to avoid having those conversations and setting clear boundaries because it feels more comfortable in the moment instead of looking at the bigger picture and being able to say, this is what works for me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's really a very intimate process to decide what you're going to do. And it has to come from your heart.
Absolutely.
And understanding, even if somebody has a lot of, or you don't like how they use their money and how they spend their money. But if you can go beyond that and feel like, this person really will benefit from my giving them money.
Yeah.
Then I'll do it. And I've done that. And
Awesome.
I let it go freely. Yeah. It has to be freely and not count how they use their money.
Absolutely.
So, so they're all lessons.
They're all lessons. What would be your final piece of advice to somebody out there that's thinking about, should I take the plunge and start this relationship with money? Should I start looking at it? What would you say to people?
So I would say, absolutely look at it. Absolutely look at it, because it doesn't have to be misery. This can also, you want to integrate who you are in your relationship with money. You're not all misery. You're fun. You're, animated. You're who you are. So let's bring who you are into your relationship with money. And so it's not all bad or good. Nothing in life has to be all bad or good.
Right.
So, there's always a balance. And
find the balance.
So it's, and we don't want to get overwhelmed. That's why it's important to go from A to B to C,
Absolutely.
To take a look at one thing at a time, because truthfully, when we work with people on whatever level, we have to start where they are, Absolutely. So if there are people who keep all their bills in a drawer and they're terrified of looking at their bank statement, maybe it's about helping them get the courage to look at what that bank statement means. Maybe they won't look at the bank statement for a month, until you work through the fear of opening that drawer.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
We don't want to take them someplace they're not ready to go, because
Absolutely.
a person's not going to get there until they're ready to take that step.
Until they're ready. That's right. We'll take one step at a time. Where can people find you on social media, Judith?
Okay, so I have a website called moneyandandempowerment.com. And the guy who's updating my website, I don't think he finished it because he was in the fires in California. But you can take a look. I also have JudithGruberTherapy.com. I have Facebook, but it's pretty open to just my friends.
Yeah.
But my website is good. They can Google me. And they can email me at Judith@moneyandempowerment.com or Judith, I think it's JudithGruberTherapy.com. Judith at, I don't even remember. I have 3 emails.
Social media. I know. I'm pretty far away from that. That's right. You've got a website. We'll Google you. Judith, has been so great. And I just want to say to our listeners, don't forget to share the love. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search for Money You Should Ask, all one word. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you prefer, you can watch our episodes on YouTube. Head over and subscribe to our channel. You can also check out the Money Summit at coreenergetics.org, where Judith and I will be October 23rd through the 25th. So sign up now. It's going to be an awesome, awesome summit. and we're going to explore a whole lot of stuff around money, and it's a whole lot of stuff around emotions and bringing it all together. Thank you again, Judith. It's been awesome.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Bob.